Two stages of Valorant, all leading up to our final playoffs to determine which two teams will move their way onto Ascension to try and be the one team to ascend up to VCT Americas. Welcome to VALORANT Challengers North America, presented by Blacklight. Day number 2. We still have our quarterfinals, and yesterday was an absolute ride, and I cannot wait to dive into today. I'm Sierra, and joining me on the desk, your wonderful analyst. Welcome back to Roy, and welcome, Emily, to the desk. Em, how are you doing?
I'm good. I was watching the match yesterday, so I'm so hyped to watch even more matches with you guys today. How are you?
Nobody ever asks me how I'm doing. What? This is crazy. I'm doing wonderful, thank you.
I care about you, okay?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm so sorry.
So wholesome. Yeah, right. What is up with this? I mean, you're coming back, so you know what? Maybe I'll forgive you on that one. But I mean, and watch the games. You were there for them. We had a wonderful day yesterday.
Yeah, that we did. And actually, first of all, I'm so sorry to put up with me 2 days in a row. That's a lot for anyone to handle. So the fact that you're doing such a good job while you have me here has been honestly...
I had to deal with Vans also.
That's true.
All
Yeah,
year.
I can't talk Vans. No, but yesterday's matches were really, really fun to watch. We saw a lot of like wild compositions, a lot of like innovation happening in Challengers. So it's kind of nice to see. And I'm hoping to kind of sort of keep that trend going into the second day here.
Pulling up the bracket, I have to apologize to Vans. I'm so sorry. I felt bad. But okay, back to the bracket here. We got to see some great matches yesterday, as though I think when we're looking at how we expected things to be shaking up, Oxygen and M80 moving along into the upper semis, I think was kind of the most expected result here. And today we get a chance to peek on the other side of the bracket here with these matches, which again, I feel like we kind of have an expected outcome, at least for people who have been following the teams. But I think Challengers has really, really shown so far that you can't really get too comfortable, and upsets are just around the corner.
Yeah, and I'm all for upsets. I love them, and it just shows that hard work does pay off. And that's the thing, is if you're a team that's constantly at the top, I think that there's just a lot of VODs out there about you and a bigger target on your back. So yesterday's games, I think they went as everybody had expected. The M80 match versus TSM was a little bit closer on the second map, and then Oxygen Esports. I think that's going to be a really fun match to watch tomorrow. But for today, like you were saying, we have Moistek Shopify first versus Fluffy Aimers. And this match, so we made our predictions, but it could go either way. I think it's going to depend on the day for these two teams, but I think we can expect a day jammed, packed full of good gaming today.
Yeah, I was the outlier with those predictions, so I'm excited for this one. I do think that there's a lot of expectations on MXS going into this, but before we dive too much into the series, we have a little teaser video to get you up to speed.
Moist Shopify and Fluffy Aimers will find themselves in a rematch from the Mid-Season Cup, where Fluffy Aimers pushed Moistek Shopify all the way to a map 3. In Stage 2, Fluffy Aimers showed out with their new additions Jonah 6 and Bones.
So for Jonah 6, I played with him on Andbox, and he was a great addition to this team because he's very vocal on what he wants to do as the Sentinel player. So I feel like he gets a lot out of us, and we get a lot out of him, which is really great. And Bones, he's a young aimer, very smart for his age. He has a really good read on what he wants to do in the round, and in a lot of micro situations, he understands how to leverage people's utility so that he can get the best out of the situation. So
after a week 1 1-2 loss to Winthrop in an exceptionally close series, they would go on to capture wins over SAD, TSM, and Dark Zero. If you weren't paying attention to Fluffy Aimers yet, they might just force you to by scoring a big win over Moist Shopify. Speaking of Moist Shopify, it's been a tough Stage 2. In comparison to Stage 1, where Moist Shopify finished 5-0, they finished at 3-3 in Stage 2, with 0-2 losses to Dark Zero, SAD, and M80, all of which are teams that they could run into in the playoffs. However, the one advantage they will have over most of the competition is their experience in the high-pressure Challengers playoff environment.
I think just preparation and understanding of I think it becomes really hard when you think of how many people are watching or who you're playing against or how big the match is or what you get if you win the match or what you get if you lose the match. I think if you were able to just really just mentally reset and enjoy the moment and play and not think about anything outside besides what you're doing in game,
This one will be a battle between momentum and experience where absolutely anything could happen.
Anything can happen, and that's why I think this series, out of our quarterfinal matches, might be one of the closer ones that we have. And let's talk about this MXS squad first, because yeah, the experience that this squad has, especially in the high pressure situations, like the video said, yeah, this team is solid across the board. They've shown that they have the capability of winning. It's just whether we get to see that form here today going into the playoffs.
Yeah, you're right. And we've been seeing these guys be playing together for quite some time now. And they just had a little bit of a rougher time on stage 2, like the video had said. I think some players that stand out to me is Otis. And he just does such a good job on those crucial roles of playing on the Cypher and the Viper. And even Mata himself, I mean, the last time that he played against Fluffy Aimers, he had such a good amount of first kills. So Mata's really good at gaining the space and getting the ground that he needs to move forward for his team. And I mean, all these players are just so good on this team.
They really, really are. But we do have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is kind of what's been happening to the team as of late when we're looking at the results. Because going from the stage 1 to the stage 2, it's a little bit drastic. Of course, the biggest difference between these stages is you're no longer playing within your group. Stage 1 was in your group. Stage 2 was playing the other group. And as soon as we hit that stage 2 here, Roy, we go from this 5-0, this undefeated team, to all of a sudden 3-3, nearing the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, in stage 1, we were all so confident talking about the fact that Moisek Shopify was definitely a top 3 team in the league, right? And then come stage 2, they seem to be having some sort of like internal issues. I mean, maybe not just like internal issues, but issues with like identity. Their map pool didn't really look that strong overall. They were just having some kind of like dysfunction within the team. And we were starting to have a little bit of doubts, like, hey, is this really my Moisek Shopify? Like, you know, what's going on internally? And then, you know, some tweets started coming out from the players saying like, hey, we're finding our form again. You know, we're starting to feel confident again. But this is not a team that you can discount no matter what's going on, right? Because they are very experienced despite their age. And this is the type of team that will rise to the occasion when, you know, when it's time.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, like, we're... Oh,
go ahead,
sorry.
Go ahead. no. My headphones wonky. Go for it.
Yes, just talking about the score that we see here. Moisek Shopify went 5-0 in stage 1 and only went 3-3. So in stage 1, they went positive 43 round differential. And like I said, when you're at the top, you have a bigger target on your back. So I feel like maybe that's why they struggled a little bit more on stage 2, where you might have some more intel of within the team or whatever it is for preparation. But either way, I think that we're going to see a much stronger Moisek Shopify today.
I hope so, and I think so. Pulling up the tweets that Roy was referencing to, the team, this was after the win up against TSM, and a couple of individuals tweeting out about how this team was starting to feel, you know, how they should, feeling like ourselves again. I feel like once we hit this stage 2, that there's been a couple of teams kind of on that up and down. I feel like M80 was another one that kind of went through a little bit of a transformation period to go back to that old form. That's something that was successful for them. And I'm curious then, we did get to see the loss next week here, but it was something that was actually pretty close when you look back at this match. Do we think that we are seeing this MXS back here in form, Em?
I think so. I really do. And with those tweets that we just saw too, that win versus TSM was huge for them. It's really going to help boost their momentum, bring up their mindset going into this match. And from after that tweet, it was Mata that absolutely popped off in that match versus TSM. He was on Raze and Reyna, but so did his other teammates, Vic and Fly. They were all extremely positive. And like I said, I think that was a really good match win for them to continue on into the upper bracket here.
Yeah, and we have, you can see Vic on screen as well. Like his stats are looking amazing within his role, and we are sort of in this like star player controller era, right? Where like you don't really want these like ultra passive, like risk averse players, and Vic is like a super flashy player in the controller role, and he's really fun to watch. But it's not even just about him, right? Like they have these kind of players in all of their roles. Like we got the Broctagon in the initiator role, we have Vic in this role, we have Mata on the like kind of like the zoomer duelist, who's also one of the most vocal players on the team, which is mind-blowing. Like there's just so many like good takeaways from every individual player on this team, which is why I completely agree with Emily when she says, you know, this is a team that will show up. This is a team that can like easily come back to form, and when they are looking in that top shape, they're kind of scary to play against.
They definitely are, but they're going up against one of the newer teams that are kind of scary to be going up against in this, which is Fluffy Aimers, which is crazy to say after kind of seeing how they were before versus now. But when you look at this Fluffy Aimer squad, I think there's actually a lot to be talking about here. They made some changes going into stage 2, and they still have this core. And honestly, working together, I think that they've really been able to step up to the table. I think all-in's been good. Everybody's been fragging out. And this is a team to start looking at just even a little bit more seriously.
I mean, first of all, speaking of unseriousness, can we talk about how cute those little fluffy Aimer plushies were in the background of the interview? They're so cute. I love them so much. And they probably help boost the momentum and give some good luck. But jokes aside, I'm excited to watch Bones today. I think that last time the Fluffy Aimers played against Moistic Shopify, Bones didn't really play to his full potential. I feel like he just fell a little bit short of what we would be expecting from him, especially on the duelist roles. So I'm excited to watch him play today. I think that he had plenty of time to go and work through the kinks, and he's going to play much better and be more prepared and stronger today.
Especially, too, when we look at Bones. When Bones is performing, I mean, Bones looks absolutely unstoppable. And I think this Fluffy Aimers team has done a really good job of kind of switching things around, because going back to this stage 1, when it was Together We Are Terrific, of course, 2 different members. Bones was one of the additions we saw here in this stage 2. But Roy, that difference, this night and day difference of just who they're taking down, these wins that they're getting, I think speaks a lot for this team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the opinion that this is like the sleeper agent team of Challengers North America. Like, it's so easy to just look at Bones and be like, oh, look at this, you know, he's a pop-off player, he's a young zoomer, you know, kind of duelist. But at the same time, like a lot of their players, like Neptune, for example, and Pancakes, for example, was IGLing. Like these players are so young, they're very experienced, and their stats are just like sleeper good. They have great stats. But as you can see on the screen right here as well, like, okay, their first match in the stage 2 was against Winthrop University. They did take an L. That is a harsh L. I can't deny that. But since then, they've sort of had this like awakening where like they've just been popping off. 2-0 versus SAD, 2-1 versus TSM, 1-2 versus M80, who was extremely close matchup. You know, Dobros, that's a clean win. But the Dark Zero matchup, like beating Dark Zero in a 2-1 fashion, is nothing to just laugh at. And this is why this team is my sleeper agent team, is because they put up great performances against some of the best team in the league. And it's like, it's just so effortless, it seems to them.
I mean, you're talking about sleeper agents and the stats across it. Let's not even just talk about the players, but the team as a whole. Because honestly, I had to double take, triple take, quadruple take. Fluffy Aimers are leading the league in a lot of this, M. I mean, we can see the wins, we see it on paper, but when you're actually hit in the face with how well they're doing statistically, it's nice to see.
I mean, looking at these stats, like you were talking about, number 1 on 3 different categories and then number 2 on the other 3. As an M-game leader myself, it is so important to build the momentum. And looking at the bonus round win percentage, 80% is huge. That means that they have such a big advantage, such a massive head start when they're going into the maps just from winning this bonus alone. The post plants as well at 70% round win. I mean, that's scary. Don't let them plant, right, Roy?
Yeah, don't let them plant and try to skip the pistol round somehow, because they're winning the pistols, 60% of the pistols, and then they're converting 80%. Okay, I actually know what you mean. 80% on bonus round win conversions is wild. That is, you have an 80% chance to start 4-0 if you win pistol. Like, that doesn't seem right. No, we have to double check that. That is wild.
Looking at this too, it wasn't that like, okay, a lot of teams were like following right after. Like Fluffy Gamers was actually quite leading the charge, and a lot of really other impressive ones too. They're really high. I think one of the better teams, if not the best team, in their retake percentages. We didn't have enough space on the graphic. Honestly, guys, it was so good. And when we were talking about how impressive this is to you, as an IGL, I actually want to talk about the IGL of Fluffy Aimers and what you make of this, because of course, I think Pancakes has done a really, really good job with leading the team, doing some great mid-round calling. But to be putting up and leading the team to those sorts of rounds and also be showing up is instrumental.
Yeah, it's not easy when you're being the brain of the team and also having to participate yourself. It's really not. But Pancakes is doing it, and I'm looking at his damage per round, 145.6. That's really good, especially on a breach, because that means that he's doing his job in terms of post plans, of delaying with the aftershock. I mean, these are really important to plan around. And breach is also just a really good agent in general for an in-game leader, in my opinion, because you can do lots of combos and it really takes away a lot of stress of mid-round calling. But looking at these stats, I think that Pancakes is just doing such a good job on in-game leading and also putting in the work himself as a player.
We'll have to see then going into the series if it'll be enough going up against this MXS squad, especially too, reminder, we are looking at a little bit of a difference in our map pool heading over to our Blacklight map select. Talk a little bit more about that. Split is out, Abyss is in. We did, Roy, get to see one team take it to Abyss yesterday, Sad Esports, and it didn't work out too well. Curious if we get to see it again today. It's going to be Fluffy Aimers' first ban on Icebox.
Oh, okay. Lotus coming out first is pretty interesting because we haven't really seen Moisek Shopify play this for a while, and they've had ample time to just like revamp their compositions. And even if they don't change their comps, they still have a lot of time to evolve and adapt and kind of just change their approach. And we get the Abyss for second map against Sierra.
No.
I love that.
No.
Let's just pray that we don't have two double controller comps on both sides so we can actually get to watch the gameplay. Shout out to our observers, by the way. Y'all did amazing considering the context. But yeah, I'm again, as always, I'm pretty curious to see what kind of meta developments happen on that map, because it's pretty unpaved path at the moment. Like anything could happen. Teams will have different approaches to it, and there really isn't a set way to do things right now.
Yeah, it's so new, and I think when we've been talking about this IGLing from Pancakes, I think really going to be a test to see what MXS is going to be throwing like this way, because for MXS to be taking this to Abyss, they got to have something good cooked up, and I absolutely cannot wait for it. Buying for the decider of the series, I think should be a lot of fun, but I want to know, as an overall whole, how you feel about this map select.
I mean, for the Lotus pick, I think that's interesting because from the stats, if we're looking at the start of stage 2, it looks like Fluffy Aimers has a stronger Lotus. So maybe, I mean, this is typical for a team to do, is pick a map that you are weaker on, not expecting the opponents to think that you put in the extra work to be stronger on that map. So that's probably a good choice for them. That means that they did the preparation needed. But I don't know about you guys. I am not looking forward to this Abyss. We haven't seen either of these two teams play it. So I'm curious, what do they have? What have they been cooking up?
I mean, that's one that kind of has me a little bit worried, because when we saw Abyss come out yesterday, it was very much so like okay, we're cooking different things and there's not meshing. Yeah. It was for Sad Esports, it was kind of rough. I was excited for it, but it was a little rough. The teams definitely seem to be okay with it so far. If they're not banning it, they're floating it. I'm curious to see what there is kind of as to a solution for it. I hope we get to see a little bit more to it, Roy, but I don't know.
Yeah, on the topic of Abyss as well, like, okay, so I've been doing some research, push glasses up. Abyss has been pretty interesting because North America seems to have a different interpretation of the map's win conditions versus EMEA. Like, North America, we're like challenging the sites, we're trying to hold it down, but EMEA, they're like on a completely different wavelength. They're trying to rush spike, and they're all like 5-player fallen off site, playing spam, playing pulse ban util. Like, they're really not even trying to bother with the site dynamics. They're literally just hitting the gritty offsite. They're going back. They're playing pulse plant, and it's kind of interesting to see how they're approaching it. And I want to see whether these teams are like taking the North American approach, where they're looking to combat site, they're looking to hold it down, or whether they're looking to like kind of cheese the pulse plants and sort of rush the sites down.
It'll be interesting. I feel like when we're looking at MXS, like they definitely have like the strong fraggers to be able to just kind of like pop off
For
on
sure.
this. So that'll be a lot of fun. But I do want to kind of redirect the conversation back to Lotus, because for Fluffy Aimer's pick, this is something that's been really, really strong for them. I don't know necessarily if they'll maybe switch something up too much, but for MXS, this was kind of a little bit of a trouble map last time we saw them. It was a really, really strong loss to Dobros, who did just get relegated in our promo relegation tournament. So I'm curious then, for a team that's been taking this sort of loss quite recently, whereabouts they're going to try and make those changes to make it a competitive series here.
Well, lots of studying, and they know that Lotus is one of their stronger maps, like I was saying. So I think that they're definitely prepared for playing Lotus. They allowed it to be there, and I mean, it's just gonna come down to who's more prepared today. I can't stress that enough. I think that that's super important. Who did the most homework, and also just the mentality, the mindset behind it. We were talking about the tweets that Moistic Shopify was tweeting on one of their last matches versus TSM, and so I think they're going to do much better today.
Yeah, and an interesting note as well is Fluffy Aimers, they do run the double Sentinel comp. They do run a Cypher Deadlock on Lotus, which has proven, it's been tried and tested. It is a very functional comp. It is really strong. We did see triple Sentinel come. It's not as wild as the triple Sentinel we watched yesterday with M80, but still, there is a lot of gadgets to get through on both attack and defense, and there's just so much versatility to how they want to spread, how they want to play the map, and I'm looking towards Fluffy Aimers for that sort of creativity, because they are Deadlock enjoyers. This is not the only map where they run Deadlock, so they are people who are proficient with the agent, and I'm really just curious to see what they're up to. Like, have they innovated? Are there some things we've never seen before? Like, how exactly are they playing that double Sentinel composition?
Well, I'm also looking at the last map, the Decider, which is going to be Bind, right? And I don't know about you guys, but I think that could literally go either way. Both teams are about 50-60% round win percentage on that. So if it does, I do think it's going to go all three maps. I think Bind is probably going to be one of the most exciting to watch.
Bind's always explosive. I think some of the best matches of Valorant that I've watched have been on Bind. So I'm all for it. Before we get into our series, though, do have to be thanking our new sponsor, Blacklight, who does understand the importance of providing high-quality equipment such as desks and chairs to ensure performance is peak at all times, and for gamers to game comfortably, which is important. I don't know if y'all have sat there and just queued Valorant for like over 12 hours and neglected some sleep and eating, but like I have. But yeah, that's a different story here. But heading into our Zippo agent select here shortly. Now I'm getting all my sponsors mixed up here. I'm curious what we get to see here on Lotus, because that was a great point, Roy, of bringing up the triple Senti, and I think too these teams being able to innovate on a map that I feel like, because for the most part has been well figured out. It's not that teams are sticking to always the same comp. It's not like this Ascent where we saw the same thing forever. There is a little bit of differences, but teams have felt comfortable with what they've kind of been going with. So I feel like when we're seeing what they can innovate on, the sky's the limit. Quad Senti, all Senti, I don't know.
Quad Senti would be crazy. That would be wild. Also, Sarah, I heard you're a Reyna enjoyer on your rank games. Is this true?
Oh yeah, like I'm running it down. I'm running it down. Someone insta-locks the Reyna and I'm battle saging it out, you know? Like that's... Maybe we'll get that today, but I doubt it. Zippo agent select for realsies this time. I don't think we'll get to see the Reyna, but I am excited to see what MXS want to be taking here. Okay. And what do we make of this agent select, especially coming up from MXS?
Well, we're seeing the deadlock, like Roy was saying. That was expected, and I'm really happy with Moistic Shopify's pick here, because Flya on the Viper. I mean, he does such a good job on being that annoying lurk Viper that's needed. It's got the lineups. They are prepared. This is going to be a really fun Lotus to watch.
This is a drastically different look from the last time we got to see them on Lotus, which was needed. It has been a long time. That goes all the way back to week 1 here as stage 2. But I'm excited with what they've been kind of cooking up. I feel like it might be a little bit tough to take down the Lotus Demons here of Fluffy Aimers, but when there is the tape on the deadlock, I can't wait to see what we have in store. It's time to get underway with the first map here in our series and to head on over to Van Silly and Lemon Kiwi to take you through.
Thank you so much. We are so excited for the quarterfinals. What are you laughing at? We are stoked to be here, right? Nod and smile.
I thought I was just. I thought you were gonna start doing it. Da 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 da.
Da, da, da. Yeah, you literally can't see me. You literally can't see me. But quarterfinals. Moist Shopify on their anime redemption arc, as I like to say, against a new challenger, someone to threaten that legacy in Fluffy Aimers.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting one to see for MXS versus Fluffy Aimers. I think when it comes down to it, I mean, they talked about it at the desk. There's been a change in the comp for this MXS team. It is a little bit more standard, though. I think back then when we were watching this team play, they wanted to put a lot of value around the Breach and the Raze and a Brimstone on top of that. But now you're playing a little bit more traditional style, something that Fnatic came out with. So it's going to be good. It does create a lot of pressure right now where it seems to be the fight at the very beginning in this pistol.
Fluffy Aimers drag them by the hair to go to this map because Moist Shopify banned it 5 out of 6 weeks. But we'll see if they've learned something. Moist Shopify just pushed right into a lobby, and it's a bloodbath just to establish ourselves in the pistol round. Brock in a 1v2 can't hold on, and Fluffy Aimers will take pistol.
They wanted to come out with a bang here for MXS. Lots of pressure out towards the A entrance and also going for a double push towards B. So technically, if you're looking on paper, this was going to be something good right now for them to win in front of the B side on the defensive side and also cut rotations as you're keeping everybody contained towards A. But unfortunately, the guns come through towards Fluffy Aimers. And not surprised about this, chat, because a fun fact for you all the series that went here for Fluffy Aimers in a 3-mapper, Fluffy Aimers always won the first map. So if they actually lose this map right here, it might be an 0-2. They've never had the comeback going across here, but they definitely had the firepower in this game.
Yeah, Mame talked at length at how comfortable they were on Lotus. Great start from Fly, again, a pick on Mound. He's going to stand his ground too. Have Otoshima play at the corner. Fluffy Aimers, who do they focus on first? Neptune has a response. But what does this really bring to Fluffy Aimers? This is just going to be team deathmatch. Okay, Moist Shopify will lose control of C. There's no one defending that anymore, but Jonas Lurk still holds strong on the right side.
Definitely does a high-risk, high-reward kind of player trying to do for MXS at that point because, yes, Fly gets the first blood, into the C mound, but at the same time, he's playing as a Viper. So when you're playing 2 players out there and you can't really escape, you're forcing the other one to peek out, and then unfortunately, you just die from, again, we talked about heavy firepower with Fluffy Aimers, a team that loves going for these Guardian buys in that second round. And hopefully here for Vic, he could do some more econ damage as he got over this trip or just die from spike radius. It's either or at this point, especially with the door opening up. So you'll definitely see the round come to a close, especially with the wall bang like that from Jonah, who had the 6th sense. So now it goes into what they were mentioning here at the desk here, 11K, where Fluffy Aimers have an 80% conversion win rate in terms of bonus rounds. And it makes sense. Look at what they have. Bringing in those Guardians on that second round, they still have good firepower for the attack side. They could still play the range in their favor and a little bit more slowly if they want to, especially with how MXS have been very aggressive in these extremities in the past 2 rounds.
Yeah, Fluffy Aimers can really modulate that aggression and deal with Moist Shopify just jumping at them, just like in the pistol round to go into A lobby. Moist Shopify hope to have a better showing at this C site. And this time with a different angle from Vig on the high ground, playing off the one-way. Fluffy Aimers lose one early, and they take damage. So we'll see if the stats that you mentioned align.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we want to see. A way to play aggressively out towards the mound and a way of escape. So you have Vic playing a high-low on the boxes. Mata is there. If they're under heavy attack, they could satchel out. But getting this first kill, look at the instant rotate from Mata. Now they can play C's nades in front of B site. This is actually going to hurt Fluffy Aimers if they want to contest in that area. But instead, they go for a smoke. So it seems like they want to lean back to opening the door and pressuring Vic once again, who doesn't have any smokes to slow things down.
And Moist Shopify weren't able to really pressure the perimeter. They couldn't get past Jonas Lurk, but Fluffy Aimers killed a lot of time, making it look like they would go B, but Moist Shopify had 2 or 3 stacked at B. Now, knowing C site is still going to be hit, Moist Shopify will hold the line. Pancakes drop, trying to slowly creep in. Fluffy Aimers can't even get vision into the B site, so they don't know what awaits them on the other side. Fluffy Aimers are dropping like flies, and this bonus round stat ain't looking too good. But Mata, with the nade, can almost flush out Bones from that corner, and as Moist Shopify hop out, it's a 1-1 trade, but Mummy is the last one left in a 1v4. It's not gonna happen.
Bonus round not converted this time around, but off of great shots coming out from Flya. So again, how they're taking control here of the mountain to start things off and how they want to add that pressure. It's not fully committed like they tried to do towards that pistol round, but they did a great job getting that first pick and then playing the numbers advantage. And then right after that, it comes down to the anchored plays. You still have great delays. You saw the paranoias coming out on the C side with snake bites. Flya just anchors his spot. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be continuously very good in these positions on the defensive side. And it might be the first thing they have to look out for Fluffy Aimers, which is why now they're pulling out an op already for Mame. They want to fight against this, and he's able to pull it back.
Who expects someone to just be walking like down the C mound like that? So that was a shot. At least Mummy got to keep the op, and if you're going to invest that much money into it, it's got to have a payoff, right? So Fluffy Aimers a bit worried about the control that Moist Shopify have over at C, especially now that they're smoked off from Vic, who loves to go for these one-ways. Fluffy Aimers don't want to walk into the B trap. They'll have a sonic sensor to protect them. They're going to check out A. And now that the Viper wall is up, they could keep maintaining their pace in that direction.
This is a thing that's interesting, though, with Fluffy Aimers, yet so late now in this season to still opt to use a Sky as their initiator. The dog just went in towards B, and once that gets shot, he has no other way to clear for information except for a flash to say, okay, we got somebody confirmed in these spots, but we don't know how many. So for them to try to find information right now is going to be very hard. It comes down to set executions now. You're going to have to leverage a lot of what Pancakes has so that they can actually block out entrances as they're using Flash Initiator utility towards an A side for a fake.
Yeah.
And it seems to work, though.
It is working. It's a 2-3 split from Fluffy Aimers. The spike is at C, and Vic bit the bait. He was already putting smokes down on staircase at A, trying to help support his team. Fluffy Aimers showed themselves, didn't drop, played safe. The spike is being planted at C, and you already have the deadlocked util established. This is a great setup for Fluffy Aimers.
And that's unlucky. Went for a satchel, still got hit by the trip, so that cancels out the flank. Now he's going to be alone opening the door, but this is going to be a weighted, and they know about this push now for Fluffy Aimers. They're in a great spot to win the post plant here.
Yeah, no good util on the post plant for Fluffy Aimers. Just gonna bunker down as Bones rips through Flya. The nade forces Vic to engage. Otoshima and Mata, the rest of Moist Shopify trying to rally together. And it works. Fluffy Aimers still have 2. Otoshima left and gone as Fluffy Aimers. The chess match worked out in their favor.
And that's where the beauty, again, of the deadlock. I think a lot of people are seeing the value that she brings now. And again, coined and started up by Turtle Troop, by Dark Zero in the very beginning on the composition that they used out on Ascent. And then evolving this over to this double Senti role that even Sentinel started using on this very map. But look at how those sensor trips are being placed. It's kind of like broken areas or unbreakable areas where you're trying and you have no choice but to fight towards the bend, and you're still going to get knocked out, and you're still going to get slowed by the net. There's just so much good stall coming out from what Fluffy Aimer has with this deadlock that MXS has to use a lot of utility, if not force his utility out very quickly. And thankfully, this round, they did. The net was thrown, it gets no value, and Pancakes is already down to 19 HP. And okay, maybe one advantage of having a Sky now, you're able to top yourself back up with that heal.
Or Shopify could be herding them into C, into all their Cypher util, because Vic has been really dictating where Fluffy Aimers go because of these one-ways. He shut down C for the past couple of rounds. He's now swapped to A. This one-way at A lobby makes Fluffy Aimers try their hand at C, and it's always been a brawl just to get established at C Mound, but when Shopify aren't going to post up there for the first time, they want Fluffy Aimers to walk into the Cypher util to get caught. Now the cages activate, and Otoshima has to react.
And that's already double cages used by Otoshima. So this might be the call. They're like, okay, well, we broke one trip. Both cameras are up. They won't have too much stall back in here anymore. That's what they think. But there's still Fly over here. He probably has the poison orb at the entrance as well. So instead, they're going to pivot back towards B, where Mata is in a huge one-and-done spot.
Having no B presence for Fluffy Aimers, you got to be watching your back at all times. The Fluffy Aimers are running out of options with 20 seconds left. It's a 1-1 trade. It's not going to work out. You just don't have flashes from Neptune. Fluffy Aimers just have to scrap it out. But Otoshima is a pillar with 3 on top of the showstopper with Mata.
Yeah, second trip was really good. I mean, they opened that door on that C side for Fluffy Aimers to make it sound like they're pivoting towards the B side. But because Mata was there behind the boxes and he heard no footsteps, it's like, no, this is a fake. Get ready to fight back towards the C side. He even gets a backstab kill as the door was closing on the other side. And then that added so much value for that double anchor within that site. Otoshima's second trip got value. The Snakebite and Poison Orb split the push out from Fluffy Aimers and allow here MXS to convert their second round. This breaks the economy for Fluffy Aimers, a great opportunity for MXS to tie things up, and this is a change of pace from Fluffy Aimers. A little bit more pressure going in towards this A side as they cage up for a cross onto Rubble, but Vic gets a nice first blood.
I like the peekaboo play from Vic. He has been such a menace this map already. With Shopify just playing off their Viper wall, giving up some space to Fluffy Aimers, but a sense of comfortability because Fluffy Aimers always have to deal with a one-way or Moist Shopify being right at the front door. That Moist Shopify, I love the kind of diversity in their strategy right now as Mata off the Prowler, headshot into Neptune while the distraction was out. And Moist Shopify, they hold the center of the map, but have very little vision on the perimeter as Fluffy Aimers still testing their way into A, maybe even cutting into B, but they don't have a lot of warm bodies to get the spike planted. And I don't blame them with Fluffy Aimers, the weaponry that they have, but to not take any of these Vandals away is going to hurt Fluffy Aimers.
Cold bodies instead, a flawless victory for MXS, and you bring up a great point for the amount of one-ways that Vic has been putting here towards this A side, not allowing Fluffy Aimers to get too much value or too much vision at the beginning of these rounds. And it almost looks like when you're looking at the Fluffy Aimer composition, it's going to be hard for them to clear out Rubble because there's less utility to throw out. There's no Snakebite to be thrown. This is why you're going to add a lot of value, or a lot of importance rather, into Jonah with the late camera that he could throw to look back towards that area. That could potentially help you into salvaging the utility that you need to actually take Rubble control if you actually ping somebody there. And then once you find that, well, you have double flashes from my man from Neptune to work things out. So again, this is potentially still a good default comp that you can really run for them to work the map very slowly. This time around with the death side they have Seekers available for Neptune. They have Orb control if they want to at the same time. If Pancakes picks up the Orb on the seaside, Annihilation will be ready. But you can see them still working up the map.
Finally, Fluffy Aimers with the first blood in their favor this time, and they've really got to start putting a dent into this economy of Moist Shopify. I think this is a big turning round for Fluffy Aimers. Now having to use a flash just to get mound control, now getting smoked off by Vic. See neural theft. Jonah just going to play off the contact of the camera now. The wall is down. He has the left side to check. He's going to jiggle peek, but might have bit off more than he could chew. And he heard Brock step through the smoke. And I think he's happy to still be playing his life with the ult that he still wants to use.
Exactly. That's totally fine. He doesn't get the hat for information, but the jump spot on 2 allows Fluffy Aimers to pivot quickly here to move into the B site, especially behind the Seekers. They know the information that the B site's open. Now look at the amount of value you're getting from that deadlock once again. There's no way here for MXS to fall back. The last 2 players will have no choice but to save their weapons.
Yeah, Brock and Mata were disjointed, where Brock had already peeked, started the swing. Mata either got smoked off or wanted to throw a nade. And Moist Shopify have talked in interviews in the past about wanting to play less like individuals and more as a team. Vic spoke about this when he kind of had an unexpected loss to a team like SAD Esports, which the desk highlighted what Moist Shopify's looks were in stage 1. They were number 1, so they shouldn't be realistically losing to teams like that. So Moist Shopify have to work together in these crucial moments.
Definitely. And it almost looked like they did if they actually caught Jonah off guard here on how he was trying to push up towards the boxes of that Hobbit door. But a quick jump spot, they weren't ready for that one. He was still trying to close the gap to throw his neural theft for the information, as you heard him beatbox pretty much, trying to get that hat out towards that kill that he won against Otoshima, punishing Otoshima rather on the jump spots into A main. That was really everything that initiated more map control for Fluffy Aimers, because you are playing a 3-site map. If you're able to score first blood at such a deep angle at that point, you're really scrambling here for MXS in the end to try to get value. You're going to try to potentially use a lot more around Brock's utility just to make sure to figure out where the last pivot could be here for Fluffy Aimers. But they didn't really have a chance to react after that kill that came out from Jonah, and it was Fluffy Aimers that had control of the round the whole time. So Moistic Shopify, this is a timeout coming through. I wonder what's going to be happening after this timeout, because you saw a lot of aggression that happened in the first 2 rounds, but when they finally started getting their money right, it just came out to like more reactionary plays off the utility that Fluffy Aimer is using. So they're trying to leverage the audios that they hear out of Fluffy Aimers. I wonder if they want to pivot back to their type of play style that they had on the first 2 rounds. And it may be the case. I mean, look at them. They have 3 players now set up in front of B main. Potentially, if they want to throw the haunt back towards A like they want to and fake a presence on that side, but instead it's a 4-player push outside of B main to start.
Call is made. Moist Shopify haven't been this forward and aggressive since Pistol. They've really changed up their level of aggression and also how passive they want to be. And 4 players walking up. Who could catch this? It's Mame, but his sights are set on setting up smokes for C and pushing through that. The rest of Fluffy Aimers are heading down A with not much, nobody to contest that besides smokes that will delay them. There's an illusion that there's a defender on the other side, but Fluffy Aimers are taking their time. Meanwhile, this 4-man push from Moist Shopify
all slowed
is halted by this trip.
A singular trip is going to allow Fluffy Aimers to get an open A site and render things so much more difficult once their flank is going to happen across. Especially if Mame stays in his position, he's going to hear it all.
Now, there's the go sign. Most Shopify, they have a split up, and Mame wants to pick his moment perfectly for this backstab, and he's just going to go for the spray. Maybe a bit panicked. Should lined up at least a headshot, at least 1 pick. Now Fluffy Aimers, they have already planted. Their backs are turned. Moist Shopify are coming through A main, and they're flooding in together. Mame has been dealt with. Now Moist Shopify can play this front to back. In Tree will be the Prowler leading the way. Moist Shopify, they gotta coalesce this focus together, and it works out beautifully. It's only Neptune in a 1v4, but just couldn't kill enough time. Moist Shopify will tie it up.
Wait, you're talking about MXS? In a past interview from Mata saying that they weren't, or Vic even, that they looked like they were playing like individuals and weren't really getting good communication. I think that was Fluffy Aimers in that previous round. Yes, Mame looked like he whiffed a couple of shots, but he saw 3 bodies going into A main, going for a flank. Where's the call for the team to stay within the site? If everybody's still focused towards the A site, fight back, flip the map towards A. He even TP'd towards Rubble, where he left himself out-stranded while the rest just waited for him to TP across and then just kill him, which gave such a huge advantage for MXS to play that retake towards that A site. And that's definitely miscommunication on how you want to work that map there for the Aimers. Thankfully, at least, they still have a lot of money to work with, and Ott comes out again. It's in the hands of Pancakes, who's looking for that pick into B main. So they are trying to answer back into MXS's finding that weakness of FAIM not really going for pressure into a default of B main. But the Prowler is going to spot him this time around from Brock, so they have to reset things for a bit now for Fluffy Aimers.
And more Shopify still at that 1-way at A, and this time Fluffy Aimers are going to adapt to have someone center in the mid-map. That's Pancakes, to see if there would be any extended push out of Moist Shopify. Not going to happen. But again, that Vic 1-way is corralling Fluffy Aimers into C, having to deal with those trips. Otoshima knows how to play his life and knows how to approach that corner. And the moment to do so, as Bones, he's not the guy to satchel in, but he's had great showstoppers in the past. Emilite wanted to see more from him. Their door opens. Fluffy Aimers split up. Otoshima. Oh, jeez. It's Bones, the showstopper, where the sun don't shine. As Otoshima is still alive on this site. In Waterfall, it's Brock hoping to help him in the crossfire. As Fluffy Aimers take this 1 step at a time. There's the annihilation, and it gets the attention of Moist Shopify. And this is an all-out scrap, 2v2. Mata and Pancakes injured. as Fluffy Aimers can't get a spike down. 13 seconds left. Moist Shopify, it's prevention mode, but Showstopper, this time from Mata. Not sure if he can get the splash off the back wall. Mame still dodges. Satchel to get him off the plant, and they can't plant.
What a play there coming out from Mana to play that clock down to perfection for MXS. Yes, great entries from Bones to start things off, but where was everybody else following the showstopper kill after he got that pickoff into this A site at that bend to drop that first player, which is right here against Flya. The rest of it was going through a nightfall. They had a perfect high-low, but it seems like everybody was still trying to get ready to fight outside the site for a post plant for Mound. There was less players working together within that site, maybe all afraid of the nightfall. And that just made things so difficult. And somehow we're pulling out. Yeah, I was going to say, a hero operator into the round. Glass cannon stopped by an outlaw. And that stops the surprise as well.
Well, Shopify have switched up how they handle C. They went from having Flya and Vic posted up,
here,
even on the high ground, different stuff, to now just hiding on the site, even keeping Otoshima there by himself, sometimes having friends. This time, it's Flya with the outlaw, getting the first blood from Moist Shopify. Camera is gonna ping Bones. Maybe even knowing that you're hearing sheriffs, Moist Shopify should go into this round pretty confident.
It comes out to the op again now. This time picked up by Pancakes, who got the unscope as he crossed over. At least information that there's two players there.
Fluffy Aimers, see if they can get their way into B. It's so difficult with C door opening and now getting shot at so many angles. Fluffy Aimers don't really have feet to stand on anymore as Moist Shopify take yet another round, 3 in a row.
Yeah, this is pretty good now coming in for MXS. I wonder if there's going to be a timeout called out by Fluffy Aimers just to try to reassess their attack side, because now they're going for defaults, trying to get a little bit more mid-control with the gun rounds, trying to get value out of an op on the attack because of what they think is going to be a little bit of a slower play style from MXS. They're going for jumpings. They're playing late. So you could use that opportunity to look down those lanes with the op, but they got shut down the last 2 or 3 rounds that they came out with the operator. So you could definitely see it. It's not because they, well, of course, they don't have enough credits to buy operators anymore into this round as well, but they want to go back into a rifle round and potentially maybe they have to start working a little bit more as a group for these hits.
So you got the one way at A, the pit at B. Guess what? Moist Shopify are puppeteering Fluffy Aimers into C yet again, but this is not the first rodeo for Fluffy Aimers into, okay, they know Otoshima sets up here, the trips are pretty close. Now they got to trip deeper into the site around the corner to maybe catch a satchel play from Bones, who hasn't been exploding onto the site as usual, trying to help the team deal with this util, at least try to draw it out. But now that the smoke is set up from Vic, Fluffy Aimers pivot again.
Seems they want to try to fight against this pit or maybe just try to fake it. Because again, you have this dog. But this dog is not going to do much. It's going to clear around the front B site. It's going to get insta-broken. And what value do you get after that after? Because if you just walk back into this, the trip never got broken, and it never cleared towards the left side, they could just sit in here and keep everybody else posted where they were for MXS. So they're still in a decent spot. It's just that they're going to have to play the retake wherever the hit's going to be coming from. The grand idea around this now is that you can't have a split going into the B site for Fluffy Aimers now.
Yeah, Fluffy Aimers have identified at least Brock is near A. So having some deadlock util at stairs, 12 seconds left. Fluffy Aimers really like to bring this down to the wire.
planted.
And look, Bones made his way up the road because of that smoke placed from Mame, but is deciding to leave it, thinking Moist Shopify were going to cross through it, thinking they were more safe than they were. The spike is planted, though, with barely any time left. So Fluffy Aimers can just play from tree, try to avoid the wave of util that's coming in for this retake from Moist Shopify. You already heard the satchel, the deadlock, triggering. Now, hearing Fluffy Aimers over at tree, fly out with a big double kill. Mata swings at the same time. Moist Shopify, the timing is beautiful. Mata was blinded. And now they have to get on the spike to get it defused. Fluffy Aimers, they have Neptune and Mame, and they killed the spike diffuser.
Oh my god, that became a clutch play in the end for Neptune. I was gonna mold and criticize Neptune in that last round, saying that he was left on an island so far behind everybody else. He's the only initiator you have in the team, and he has a flash available, yet he uses it to clear Baby Door by himself and not utilize it or be anywhere with his team so they could play a post plant and maybe fight back against a reflood, the flood retake from MXS. Yet he's still able to move out towards Baby Door, and with him and Mame also criticized the round before, allows for both of these players to win a 2v3 towards the end by spraying through smokes to get the kill. And that's unfortunate because if you look at that smoke, it wasn't a good smoke by Vic. It only went to cover more towards the right side of the boxes instead of the default of where it's actually planted. So the radius that you had to spray is a little bit more readable for the last two players, which rendered there and allowed Fluffy Aimers to win that post plant and to clutch it out. And thankfully, after that high risk, or should I say, an intense win here that Fluffy Aimers just got, there's a technical pause that sets in, that settles down, and that's going to stop that momentum right away as well.
Just the impact that Vic and Otoshima have from Moist Shopify to draw out so many precious seconds, leaving Fluffy Aimers, or really forcing Fluffy Aimers to really only have 20 seconds to execute a site, which you saw how hairy that can get when you go to plant the spike and all of a sudden you're shot and you don't have a chance to do that. It's not like they're playing a Gecko where you could have little wingman do his thing and focus on protecting him. Fluffy Aimers, it really comes down to if they can execute that plant, and if it doesn't, it gets rough. And Moist Shopify weren't able to prevent it at the A site. They almost should have let Fluffy Aimers get into C, but because the Vic smoke came back up, it went to A, and it's this whole dance between these two teams.
Definitely a whole dance. It's a tango, and it's going back and forth. We're exchanging pirouettes here as we still have one round separating these two teams. Potentially a 6-6 at the half, but a change of pace. This wall comes down, it's going to be a bloodbath.
If Fluffy Aimers can get into tree, and it's going to be Flya that dictates when this engagement happens. Fluffy Aimers hold their ground. Moist Shopify throwing nades, having smokes up, have someone in tree, have someone in staircase in a second once Otoshima gets in position. And the first blood could mean a neural theft advantage for whoever gets it.
Yeah, definitely. If not, though, if you're looking at the position that you currently have on defense, it's a very passive play towards the C side. So there's an opportunity for Fluffy Aimers to really take control of the sites, of the three sites, rather, where you want to scale up. And they've already inserted Jonah towards A. They're going to insert back towards the C site, force a rotate, and that might come down to that Jonah fight, a one-on-one in that area that could initiate here that hat that you wanted.
And Neptune grabbed the orb, so he has Seekers. This is how they're infiltrating into C, and Vic is living beside the sturdiest box I've ever seen. And Fluffy Aimers, they can't even flood in well off that util because they got smoked out by Vic, so they pivot into B. Now Moist Shopify are a bit more ready. The plant will still go through, but Fluffy Aimers are stuck inside the site because of these smokes. And now you're in arm's reach of Mata, who got 3. And Moist Shopify will get the defuse in a second. Unless Neptune has something to say about it in a 1v3. He will be creeping up, and they don't know where Neptune is, and he tries to sneak up on Vic, who's just got a better read.
Yeah, this time around, the smoke is good enough for him to just play that in the gulag, and they expected that hit, the sixth sense that there was going to be another lurk coming in from Neptune, this time from the C side, because the Seekers came in from the C side as well, so a good read towards the end. A nice attempt, though, from Fluffy Aimers. I was going to call that a masterclass of how they've worked that map. We're able to insert players, like I said before, on the A side, then TPing inside B. Then this allows for you to have pitches from Baby Door and making it a lot more difficult for you to retake the site from Waterfall. But the MXS, they were really quick. They're super good on aim. I mean, this is still Moist Shopify we're talking about here. So they get these picks, they get a clean retake, and there was no opportunities there for Neptune to get that lurk behind the wall that was thrown by Pancakes. So 7 rounds that you have on defense, you're going to be very happy about that for MXS to start. And for Fluffy Aimers, rather, on their pistol rounds, they want to try to tie this up right away. So they're going to leverage 3 players out towards the B control. If there's no control coming on this side, they could just open door, go for the paranoia hit on C. So they still have good control now of both C and C side from the positioning.
Now one-way smoke this time from Mame to seal off C, which makes Moist Shopify lose a lot of map control there. They'll follow their Viper wall all the way into A, grabbing orb, making noise, breaking down baby door, and Fluffy Aimers have 2 on the other side here. And Neptune has 2 flashes and a dog. He's ready to scrap, and Moist Shopify have already left the building.
They're just trying to work the map again. It goes to the insert play, so this is fine. It's still a minute left on the clock. So right now for MXS, they still have another opportunity that if they're trying to move in towards the C site, it's being pressured. They could open door, go back towards B. So they have info into tree. They have the camera looking to B. This should be a B finish right now for MXS.
MXS also have a deep lurk into A, so if things don't work out here, there's always plan B. But right now, the plan is C. It's Moist Shopify. Could be hit
30 seconds
by Neptune, who sits around the corner. This Fly has a sight all to himself, but doesn't matter. Oh, maybe it does matter. Moist Shopify, like an empty site. And look how extended Flya is being, not expecting someone to be into a corner. That was a bit too much. 12 seconds left. Moist Shopify gotta book it.
This might be it right here. If we're able to deny this plant, Joe's trying to go for the kill instead.
Ooh, his aim is clean though. Mata versus Jonah. What a huge disadvantage for Moist Shopify. It just took them too long to pick a darn site that they wanted. First it was C, then A, then back to C, then A. It took so long.
I think it was fine,
they just
though.
didn't even have a setup going.
Everything was still perfect. As I mentioned, they still have the insert inside the B site. The camera sees that there's nobody in there, and the walk towards A site, noticing that nobody's on A. So they have 2-player inserted to watch and fight the rotates on whenever they move towards this A site for a plant for MXS. But the thing is, it's Flyer overextending, walking all the way back towards spawn, when all he needed to do was watch the area, at least from heaven, to see to rotate across, which would have given value for Otoshima inside B, which would have given value for the 3 players inside the A site as they rotate across. But after that kill, everybody's just rushing to try to get the plant down and just set up in the post plant when they weren't really aligned anymore as soon as the Flyer fell down. So unfortunately, a huge mistake, which now allows for Fluffy Aimers to play the anti-eco. And again, going back to the game plan of tying the game instantly after winning pistol.
Cage triggered.
Yeah, Fluffy Aimers with winning both pistols. Lose Flya, who had the Outlaw. He's usually pretty good with it, gets bested. But a huge dent has been made into C. The spike will be going down, and B is as easy as that. Pancakes and Bones are very split from each other, but Pancakes had info on Otoshima. Bones gets a pick and now can just wait for Pancakes. Mata's left in a 1v2. He'll have an SMG, and Bones just, I don't know, there's something in the air. He knew Mata was coming, and that gives Fluffy Aimers the equalizer.
Dude, he sniffed Mata for sure. He went for the boot bot into spawn, turn around with the Outlaw. That was a beautiful display of heads up of what was going on, the state of the game, understanding where his teammates were dying. Again, how many players were actually inside the site when you saw on the defensive side, Jonah got overtaken here on C. So that was actually very, very nice by Bones. That saved the round here for Fluffy Aimers because somehow everybody from MXS really were able to get behind enemy doors and just go for backstab kills. There were so many surprising kills that came in favor of MXS, and a full classic round to potentially even win it is huge. So this will allow for MXS to tempo up a little bit more quickly in this round because they know they're playing against a weaker buy here from Fluffy Aimers, but they're going against a judge from Mummy. If they want to continue to commit towards C-Site, this might be just bad news bears and a gun round in favor of Fluffy Aimers no matter what.
Moist Shopify. Send the boom bot in. Don't hear anything. Shooting it. No util. Mummy gets bulldozed by a Prowler and Mata. But Spike is down. Moist Shopify are still clearing the way. Great showstopper by Mata. He must be 2-0 on that. And this is Moist Shopify established, but at the top of sight is Bones. He's not smoked off, only slowed by Paint Shell, but Brock gets better with the aim. Pancakes and Jonah are left, split approach. Pancakes opening the door, getting the attention of Mata, who has the lineup. 3 for him this round. As Jonah, I don't know how much he can do with a 1v4, but he's just made the job a lot easier. He had to remove that ping though, and just hurt someone pretty close. Not much he could do. Is Moist Shopify with a great execution.
So at some point there was going to be a guardian kill before he died there onto Mata, because there was a couple of wish shots coming through, but at the end of the day, even though the wish shots from Mata towards the end of the round was not good, what happened at the beginning for Mata was huge. So yes, a great entry, great patience that came through from MXS as well, because it almost looked like from all the util that was being used on that C site, that Mummy was going to somehow get away with 2 or 3 kills before he fell. And one last Prowler that came out there from Brock to clear towards the right side allowed Mata to just swing in to get the kill. And look at him so far, 19 kills on the board, about to drop 20 in regulation. 15 rounds played only as well has been a crucial part into MXS's successes so far, although that's 8 rounds out of 7. So there, you need a little bit more here out of MXS to control and take an opportunity out of the fragging capabilities that Mata is currently bringing to the table for the team.
The lead has never been bigger than 2 rounds of 4. Moist Shopify, exactly. This is how they could extend it. They need all the insurance they can get. Their economy has usually been in a good position now, even into this. They just gotta stop. Fluffy Aimers, once the smoke dissipates, as Jonah gets good information, pings Brock. Neptune is ready to react. We'll be dogging out, seeing who's close. Did chomp down on Vic, but Fluffy Aimers are still struggling to get eyes on where these targets are, which are right below them. And Fluffy Aimers peak at the worst moments. The firing squad was there, and Moist Shopify almost get a flawless round out of it.
Yeah, MXS were comfortable with that. They knew they had to play, or they were playing against lower buys coming out of Fluffy Aimers, so just play your rifles inside this side, watch each other's backs, see who's the first contact. Don't chase for these kills. Don't give an opportunity here for Fluffy Aimers to pick up rifles on top of that and have some sort of saving grace and turning around in your favor. So they've done a good job ever since their gun round here, winning the last 2, breaking economy as well against Fluffy Aimers, just to make sure that they can maintain some sort of lead rather, and just pay for their mistakes that they just did on that pistol round earlier on in that second half. So this is actually quite nice. They have a great opportunity now to cycle ults. If they want to go for orb control in its default once again, they could get a lot of value out of the Nightfall on top of that as well. And then just have Mana go for continuous entries and plants so they could get the showstopper in the next round. Mummy's going to be pressured, exactly.
With the Prowler, the Boombot, the party's coming to him whether he's invited or not. Moist Shopify, first time just heading directly into ugly showstopper, but you know, I'll blame the ledge. The floor's real sturdy. Moist Shopify still, despite not too comfortable planting, they got the one-lane closet, so that's their window to plant. Vic will be watching over. Now here's the swing from Fluffy Aimers. A big win for Bones. Getting in there solo, picking off 2. Once this one way is down, Pancakes will be involved, but just got trickled down from spraying through the smoke. Boy, Shopify Mata was built differently.
Oh my god, that was insane by Mata. The spray transfer, just a reset on one target to the next, was beautiful, and then staying cool to spray the last person down. We have to see this replay again from Blacklight. This first thing that came across here from Fluffy Aimers, I thought it was going to be all over for MXS when the first 2 players just died within the site. They had great ideas with the one-way smokes being thrown, but right after that, Mata on the top of heaven, getting a 4K like that, already getting halfway into a showstopper. And this guy was mentioning it before. He was saying in scrims, in matches, nobody could really match up to him into the duelist role. He wanted somebody to really step up to the plate and add that challenge towards him, but he feels like he hasn't gone that challenge yet. That was such a good 4K coming in from his side.
Absolutely. And what's so funny is that Mata, when he got asked by Dryad to kind of rate the teams, he had Oxygen, M80 are the best, but he rated Fluffy Aimers above his team. So there's a lot of respect from Moist Shopify towards Fluffy.
While laughing.
With probably a little smirk, you know?
Yes.
That's the Mata thing. But there is a lot of respect from Moist Shopify in this match. There's probably so much prep work into this. And the fact that Moist Shopify, their Lotus, they lost this like 13-4 to Dobros. And look how much more competitive they look now.
Yeah. Again, it's just going back into a change of comps, and when you leave this map floated but then ban it as your second ban because Split or Sunset were the ones that you wanted to ban before, your map pool wasn't that deep going into the playoffs. But then you're seeing this coming out of MXS and heroic plays coming out from Mata, and seeing that they're doing good with the default comp. They're in a good spot right now to once again show that they have a deep map pool, that they're comfortable to play these matches against other opponents, against what Roy was mentioning, a team, Fluffy Aimers, that takes the upper hand to take down Titans. But MXS, they want to stand tall one more time.
With Mata's at like 26 kills or something now. He is the GOAT, and now his confidence is so justified when it comes to just being a duelist, being the guy who delivers that first blood. Moist Shopify get a plant off of it, even after kind of the early round fake that they had, but Fluffy Aimers bring it down to a 1v2. But Jonah just couldn't really find the targets, and Moist Shopify are up to 11.
Yeah, so I understand why when I was critiquing MXS, is like, oh, we need a little bit more from everybody else. It's just because Mata's owning everybody. But you just saw him die into the attempt at a retake coming out from Fluffy Aimers, and then Vic and Flya, they're the last two remaining. They easily get those kills. So if Mata's not stealing kills away now from the rest of his teammates, the rest can still step up to the plate now on their attack side. And this would have been a whole different story right now of the second half if they didn't lose and you know, went to a scruff and a mishap in that pistol round, because they're looking so good on this attack. That was a showstopper to entry, and it'll finish.
Oh,
no way!
It's just a bloodbath. Everyone get out of Mata's way. But while he was blinded, that was Mame's time to strike. Neural, that's advantage for Moist Shopify. Getting a ping that Pancakes is on the site is important. There's the second ping. And Jonah, or Pancakes, had to react quickly. And Jonah just can't support him being in staircase. Moist Shopify, they're just putting salt to the wound.
Yeah, you just have to, at this point, unfortunately, just fold it. Go to the next map, because if you're seeing a showstopper entry like this and he's doing a 720 crouch headshot, then onto Bones, pull out your Doritos, eat them, and just wait for the second map, because MXS and Mata more specifically are just feeling themselves now on this first map in this second half. It was going back and forth for a lot of these rounds. It was, what, a 7-5 half for MXS, and FAIM was able to keep this close. But now on the attack side, there is no answer on how they could actually stop Mata here.
Look at this play from the shadows. Vic at the back. Jonah screaming for help, and there's just no get out of jail free card. He will manage to scuffle his way into Waterfall, hide behind the smoke. Moist Shopify 1 round away, and they know it's in the bag. They know fate is in their hands. Now paint shells in Waterfall, where they saw Jonah escape. Moist Shopify doing good damage, and they got a pit up. Their Fluffy Aimers are just jumping into their death, and Brock delivers the pain. Fluffy Aimers have 2 left. Mame, Neptune, no flash, nothing for Neptune to do more. 13-7 ends Lotus in favor of Moist Shopify.
Too clean towards the end. Even they were so comfortable to just TP in the back of the site with no help. Yet Jonah doesn't want to fight that, doesn't want to cancel the ult, so he gets a chance here for his teammates to rotate across. So it definitely showed here towards this second half that not only didn't they have an answer, they couldn't really adapt to the different types of gear here that was coming out from MXS. So definitely coming out with a vengeance to start things off in the quarterfinals of the upper bracket. And MXS are looking, once again, prone to be back in the conversation of one of the top teams here in Challengers.
6 rounds in a row from the shadows at the back, entering with showstopper Moist Shopify. When it rains, it pours. But I don't care if there's sunshine outside. I am so locked in for this match. Moist Shopify will go to match point, series point. Up next, we have Abyss. But before that, we got to talk to the desk. So we'll see you after the break.